Welcome to the Getting Creative with the Future of Peer Review session. We've got three excellent speakers and Kaveh here with us today. They're each going to give us a 5-minute pitch about their vision for the future of peer review, like what might peer review look like in 30 years' time. At the end of each one, do the accept major revisions, minor revisions thing. I'm John from Science Open. This is Kaveh from River Tech. We've got Carolina from Authorea, Alexander from PaperHive, and John, who we all know from Overleaf. So I think Kaveh is going to kick things off. Go, bro.
Well, I'm going to be rejected after that introduction. Sure.
I hope so.
Let's see this. So, I'm going to propose a new model for communicating research. What are the problems right now in scholarly publishing? The paper is the sole currency of academic recognition. A researcher has to make their research paper-shaped, as it were, to get published. So you have to get the references, the tables, the figures, etc. All of this takes time. Then it has to be peer reviewed, proofread, auto-corrections have to be made, typeset, etc. So typically it takes a year from the time you discover something until other people hear about it. Problems: plagiarization, misconduct. 1 in 3 researchers admit to questionable practice to get published. There's been a 10-fold increase in retraction in 10 years. There's so much pressure to publish that a lot of papers are now purchased. China, for example, Middle East, there was a report recently that 10% of papers or pieces in Iran are purchased. I'm from Iran, so we're good at something. Pretty good. Catch up. Gender bias. Generally, there's bias. Now, my good friend, the wonderful Cassidy Sugimoto, has shown that there is gender bias, whether you like it or not. Even if you try not to be biased, there is such a thing. Early career researchers, they talk about retribution if they give a bad review. These are not good things. Attribution. You get a list of 10 authors in a wonderful paper. Who did what? Who contributed most? Who did which part? Who did experiment? We have no idea, we'll never know. Research is non-inclusive in that papers are not really very readable if you're not a specialist. And of course outsiders can't even take part in research. You have to be in university. So here's we've seen about, the people have talked about this rather. There's a site called Stack Exchange. You might want to look at it. So what I'm proposing is loosely based on this. And this is test.stack exchange, something I look at from time to time. If you zoom in a little bit, programmers go into Stack Exchange to ask questions and get replies. So for example, a guy at the top, this is Lucas. I think you can see it, yeah. So Lucas has asked a question 4 hours ago. This is just a screen grab I got yesterday. Ibo has come in and edited 4 hours ago. Yeah? Let's have a look at what the editing was done. So Ibo came in and said, yeah, I understand your question, but if you rephrase it like this, it sounds better. Why is Ibo doing this? We don't know who Ibo is. But they jump in and do this. They get points. People uprate them. Right? They say, oh, thanks, that's a good edit. That's all they do. They get points. So later on, someone has come in. This can go on. People can give a lot of answers. There's a conversation going on. This is Igor. Actually, he's a legend in Victor Gregory. He's Italian. He has given 13,000 replies on this site, and he has asked 0 questions. Right? I don't know how he does it. I know him well. He's a great guy. Why is he doing this? He's just getting recognition from his peers. Now, you can be anonymous if you want. You can be Ibo, I don't know who Ibo is, or you can say, yeah, I'm Enrico Gregory. It's up to you. There's a strict code of conduct. on Stack Exchange, and that it's sort of anarchic, so it's self-policed. Reputation is built on your contribution, so you have to build your reputation. I can't edit from day one. That's not right. Once you get to a certain level, you've got 2,000 points, reputation, you can edit, or you can suggest edits, right? So you slowly build up your reputation there. And you can vote up or down. I put a question up recently, after a long, long time. I got -1. Actually, I got to vote it down. You're not the only one who votes me down. Other people do too. That's because I didn't say which particular program I was looking at, and I wasted people's time. You mustn't waste people's time. Right? So it's a wonderful system. So let us just imagine, coming back to scholarly publication or communication. Let's say there is some field, electromicrobiology, which I'm sure doesn't exist. But supposing there's a site there you go to, and just suppose a significant number of electromicrobiologists are members and go there. It's like a social site. You can be anonymous, but of course unique ID. So you can gain thousands of points, but no one knows who you are. Any kind of contribution. If you have a lab observation, you say, I found this. Theory, data, question, hypothesis, whatever you want can go there. This is converting from Keynote to PowerPoint. I'm sorry, this shouldn't be overlapping. But then you can vote for, just assuming, I put up say, I found this in the lab. What do you think, guys? Let's assume people can vote, my peers can vote for me, but in a granular way. So you can say, this is the original idea. Great. Or down. I can't even read this. Data quality. Yeah, good. Data analysis. Visualization. Supposing I put some data up, someone else comes along and says, I've got a great data visualization program. How about this? Right? Everyone is contributing. And people are voting for each other. So you copy editing. Someone comes in and copy edits it. Bibliography. Then at some point, somebody can come and say, I'm going to write this up. I'm a journalist. I love writing. You write a story. Any publisher then, open or subscription, can publish this. Publishers can easily scout. They can look at the site and say, this is a good story. I'm going to write this up. It's not a paper now. It's a narrative. It's a story. It's been fully peer-reviewed, better peer-reviewed than any other, because right from the start it's been peer-reviewed. And every contributor can be automatically accredited. The system can keep track of who is what. We have the technology. So the advantage is, research moves fast. There's no bias. You don't know if there's a man or a woman, or a dog, as they say on the internet. It can be a dog. I can be black or white or disabled. It doesn't matter. It's the contribution I made. There's no bias. We all do what we're good at and what we like. There's no plagiarization because everything would have been caught. There's no retractions. There's no papers to retract. Anyone can contribute. Anyone from any country. A schoolboy can go to contribute. The challenge that is left is that universities and funders take notice of these thumbs up or thumbs down, at least partially. If that happens, we have a new way of fast research and recognizing research. Thank you.
So what do you all think of Cave Exchange? Accept, reject? You want to get the two options? Revisions. We got major revisions from Frank.
We're good friends. I think that's
That's what he just doesn't want you to have children. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We'll do discussion at the end. You guys want to?
Hi everyone. So Kevin already covered almost all problems that we have with with peer review, but the biggest problem is that it's really inefficient and easy abuse. And people, there's this notion of publish or perish. And if it takes almost 2 years to publish a paper, you might, it's the problem of dissemination, the knowledge to community or science or everyone in general, it comes at cost. And we really have to change how papers are written and published. And the failure and delay is causing everybody problems. So Authorea was created by scientists to change how people collaborate and how papers are published. And at the moment, researchers have used papers, 21st century research, packaged in 17th century format. So they share research by word, they write research by word, they share it by email. It takes forever to get published. And at the same time, the data sits on a hard drive. So a lot of times when editors want to check if the results are correct, they can't even access the data. So there is a bias based on ethnicity, gender, and affiliation. And let's say that you publish a paper that comes from a college that is fairly unknown. They might question your data, but it's the same data as included in the paper for Harvard. Most often, the data won't be questioned. So what we came up with is a platform that enables people to publish and open. And you have a possibility to include data and code behind a paper. And at the moment, people are already using it. So they submit a paper to a major journal. And editors it's linked back to Authorea. So editors can go back and check the data and code behind the paper and verify if the results add up. It's actually linked to IPython notebooks, so you can go back, download the data ecosystem, and check if it's correct and if it works. At the same time, authors of the paper, they can open it up to the public. They can post a preprint or open up the paper they wrote on Authorea. So everybody can come to the paper and comment on certain things. They can add edits, and the process is much faster because you have really anybody who can come and say, okay, this doesn't work, because science is fluid and it always changes. So if you have papers behind a wall that takes 2 years to get published, your results might be obsolete in 2 years. So it increases collaboration. It helps people to actually accelerate knowledge and science at the same time. And another thing that we're working on, we want to enable everybody to decide if they want to publish in a major journal or if they want to disseminate knowledge. When the research is done, they can create groups. So just invite people from their field to review their paper in a closed environment together with editors. Or they can open it up and share it on Twitter, on a blog, on any social media, and invite the whole public to come and see their research, check their data, and really add to the research and work together to get to make breakthrough and really help science to move forward faster. Because nowadays it's slow and inefficient, and we're not collaborating together. Yeah.
Okay, you want to cast your vote for Authorea then? What do you think? What's the general feel? Ooh. Okay, looks like I've got mostly major revisions, but we'll save those questions at the end. You're Oh, you said that. You don't have slides.
I don't have slides now.
Oh,
We can-
so I sit here?
Yeah, sure. That's for you.
I don't need slides. Thank you for having me here. I'm Alexander from PaperHive. We are a software startup based in Berlin, and we do collaborative reading. So this is a new concept of allowing researchers to do commentary on already published research. So documents that are in our system, indexed in our system, can be annotated, followed, discussed, privately and publicly. What is our position on, or what do you think about the future of peer review? Like the central premise is that there is not a single future of peer review. The future is granular. What I mean is that it's granular in terms of different types of peer review for different disciplines, different priorities in the peer review process for the different disciplines. While, say, for a very interesting publisher that we're working with, called Language Science Press, while for them, an interesting concept of community proofreading or post-publication peer review is the solution, where the entire community of a few dozen linguists just sits together in front of their computers and collaboratively say if something is wrong, both in terms of grammar and in terms of content. And while this works for them, and this is definitely the future, probably the entire linguistics science, then this will definitely not be the case for, say, biomedical sciences. While the first process is, or the first approach is crowdsourced and inclusive and very open, the second one, which is, say, for biomedicine, where probably the stakes of putting something out, research document out there, which bears some risks, say health issues, health risks, then there we cannot just rely on, well, put it out there first and look what happens. There we will need a combination of different peer review well, approaches in the same time. The future of peer review, as I said, is granular, and something that is missed right now is a type of peer review education. This is not necessarily an integral part of the education or the work of PhD students. Here and there are incredible professors who ask their PhD students to peer review documents, but this is still not an integral part for most of the disciplines. And we believe that this is allowing young researchers or young future researchers to do a lot of peer review, to do a lot of experiments in already published content. This is a way to move on. This is also one of the possible solutions to the ever-growing amount of content being published. Obviously, we have something like 2 million new articles, at least in the STM sciences, published each year. This is already a lot, it cannot be easily curated. And so staying up to date is a mess. By 2030, we'll have approximately, I don't know, something like 30 more million, if not more, research documents. So 14 years times 2, and this will be growing. So it's a huge amount of new articles. One of the ways to peer review it is obviously not just relying on some researchers who will magically get working days of 48 hours, but obviously doing it in a more crowdsourced manner, relying on great young researchers who just, by say, reading collaboratively, by say, reading critically in the process of their own research, also review the literature. This is a way to really scale the amount of peer reviewers out there. Just integrating the full process of review in the process of reading the research. How much more time do I have? Just one. All right. Growing questions about the role of machines in the peer review process or research as a whole. They are already out there for dozens or 15 years or so at least. We use grammar checkers or typo checkers in these writing systems. This is already some sort of incredible technology helping us write correctly. We're moving forward into more and more assisted peer review, assisted reading. As far as the assisted peer review goes, we will soon not only have this and say systems to review if something has been plagiarized or not. We'll have also statistics and mathematics checkers. Just recently, there was a very interesting study and very interesting software by a research group. I unfortunately don't know where exactly they're based, who tested a few 100,000 psychology papers for the correctness of the statistics behind, the mathematics behind, and they saw that there are some issues with p-values here and there. Does not necessarily mean that they're wrong or that it's bad science, whatever bad science means, but this is a way to move on, and this is a way to, pretty simple to scale this software. Something that's coming up pretty soon, and partially also driven by us, machine annotations and chatbots that will help not only, of course, reviewers, but also general researcher to get a better understanding of specific topics, specific concepts, which of course also depends a lot on the disciplines. So this is the gradual movement towards software-assisted peer review and research in general. So to try to sum up, since research and innovations, we'll have to repeat that, since research and innovations are chain reactions of collaboration, peer review cannot stop. The traditional peer review for most sciences, which is rather exclusive process, will continue to exist, but it will coexist with other approaches, crowdsourced approaches, continuous approaches after something has been officially curated and stated as always fine science. We'll see many innovations and crazy approaches which will work for some disciplines, but not for others. And this is the way to go. The way to go is also to integrate peer review practices in the massive work of young researchers in the process of reading and writing. Thank you very much.
All right, voting up. What do you think of Alexander, PaperHive, and collaborative peer review? Ooh, it's a bit more friendly. There's a big red one over there. That's the wrong way around. We'll come back to that one later.
Oh, yeah. The reject person.
So shooting you once across the room. Okay, and our final speaker is MC Hammersley. You don't have slides.
I don't have slides either.
I'm just going to run away. Go ahead.
You can't get away from my face. Yeah, so it's interesting. So I'm one of the founders of Overleaf, but I'm not going to talk about Overleaf at all today because I think, it's quite nice that I'm sat opposite Frank because he has on the front of his laptop a sticker from the 101 Innovations in Scholarly Communication research that was done recently. And 101 innovations, and that's 101 different systems. And there are many more out there and many more different systems. And new ones coming out all the time, new and innovative systems to write papers, to publish papers, to share data, to do all these types of things. And I think one of the challenges we face is that A, it's very hard to learn lots of new systems, and B, it's quite hard in many cases to transfer information between them. So we end up with a lot of siloed information, a lot of information that is in system or one place, but can't easily be transferred. And so I think what I'd like to see in, well, as soon as possible, but 2030, I think is the timeline that was mentioned, was just much more connectedness between those systems. So that if you write a paper in Word or write a paper in Overleaf or in Authorea, you can very easily pass it into different systems for commenting or for data analysis or for anything like that. So rather than trying to get everyone to use the same system, we make it easier for people to use the systems that they like and that work for them in their disciplines. But when they need to pass those papers around or pass that information around, they can do so at the click of a button rather than spending a lot of time reformatting, rewriting out parts of that paper, or rewriting things out, and potentially losing information and losing a lot of time in a way. So I think my theme is more about making the systems more connected behind the scenes so that we can save authors time, save reviewers time. I'd like to get to the discussion, so.
Thanks, Phil. All right, we have 17 minutes left for the lightning presentation, so we're going to open it up to questions. Okay, so David's hand shot up straight away there.
Yeah, hoping to get some feedback. The first thing I'd like to know is actually how many people in the audience are actual scientists doing experiments? Oh, quite
So about third.
third, yeah, that's not too bad. The trouble is, this thing seems to be dominated by publishers, and publishers are the problem in my view.
Hands up if you're a publisher. Oh, he's sitting over there.
The only thing that I can think of that's going to work is open access and post-publication peer review. And open access costs about $50 per paper to put it on a server. There's the fact that Nature Communications charges $5,000 for doing it. It's just sheer corruption.
6,000 attempts.
Nothing would do.
On Authorea, you can do it for free.
Well, we have the executive editor of Nature Communications sitting in the audience. I wonder if you'd like to respond to that. So. Oh yeah, we'll save your backlash. Okay.
I mean, nothing would be better for science than the demise of Nature Publishing Group and Elsevier.
Well, we're on camera, so we can say
It is absolutely true.
Okay. Do you have a question about the future of peer review? Maybe?
Sorry?
Do you have a comment on peer review? Or?
Well, I think post-publication peer review is all that will work because, hang on. It hasn't really taken off in a full way, but it will do. The point is that anything gets published. Anything, however bad, gets published. Biomed Central, the sponsor of this meeting, published a journal of Chinese medicine, which is pure rubbish, from beginning to end. Just awful. I actually went out to the office and their invitation some time ago, but they still publish it, and it's still as bad as ever.
It's been retracted, so I believe.
Sorry?
It's been retracted, I think.
No, I looked it up the other day.
Oh, goodness.
Chinese medicine, and they had some absolute nonsense about green tea.
Yeah. Green tea's lovely. Should we move on? I think Eva, you had a question next.
Yep. I had my green paddle up for a Kaveh suggestion because I think it covered so many things and it has so many solutions. But I think, like, not knowing why Frank had his revision paddle up, I did actually have some comments on it, and this actually brings me back to what peer review is for, because I said accept because this will work, but at the same time I do have suggestions and I didn't feel like that would diminish it. But one of the things I noticed was, how are you going to prevent people from creating multiple accounts and pretending to be their own colleagues, and or even logging into other people's accounts?
Stephanie's got the same answer as me. So.
I would recommend Orchid as a... This is
integrate with
Science
Orchid.
Open. This is what we built, and we said you have to use your Orchid always to have as a...
But the problem with that is then you're not anonymous, right? With Orchid, you know who the person is. Now, I don't know the answer to that, but certainly on, say, Stack Exchange, right,
You can have multiple accounts. Each of those accounts has to build up their own reputation. It's very difficult for you to build up a reputation of 3 or 4 people, right? You can't do anything until you're somebody there, until you're known, until you've made 2,000 points, until people. It's very difficult to actually to game that. You can try, but it's far more difficult than gaming right now with the present system. So that's the beauty. Stack exchanges. That's what gives me confidence. It really works now. It really is working.
It's becomes sustainable.
Yeah, and people, if you want to go and if you are finding it, you want to program in Java, say, now there's a jobs area, and you say, yeah, this guy's got 50,000 reputations. Let's take this person, whoever they are.
Okay. Ask a question.
There seems to be so many great tools to advance science in whatever direction you think it should go. However, I have a feeling that scientists lack both time and sometimes even interest to actually educate themselves about these tools. Do you think anything can be done with that? Because I believe developing new things is not really useful until you can make people use them.
I've talked a lot.
I think it can be done together with universities. So you work with universities to disseminate and educate researchers. So you find something that works for both worlds. Because I completely understand people are not willing to learn and then they're going to stick with the old tools, but if you really work together with them, it's easier to find tools that they'll use in the future.
Anna, would you like to jump in?
To answer that, yeah, I provide training on peer review and also on how to write a paper. And there was one time when an institute wanted to do one course on how to write a paper and another one on how to be a peer reviewer. Nobody applied to the peer reviewer course. They didn't want to do it. They all applied for how to write a paper course, so they cancelled it and asked me to put a little thing in. So that's an example of me. They can put on as many courses as they like, but the scientists have to turn up.
Yeah.
That's made it compulsory.
So you can't have a course on how to be a peer reviewer. You've got to understand the subject. That's what you need for a peer reviewer. And most peer reviewers don't understand it very well. How many people can define a p-value? I'd like to do that.
You can, because I always read your stuff about p-value. Seriously. I follow you.
You have Carvey following you around.
My point is, okay, so there maybe is an incentivization problem. I mean, we said earlier it was publish or perish. Should it be peer review or perish? And how do you move towards that?
With all the other systems that were described, how do we preserve confidentiality? Because I think one of the things that you always worried about, the system that Carver mentioned, how do you make sure that an idea is properly preserved, its confidentiality, and with all those number of people here.
Why would you want it to be confidential? Is it because it might be a patent or something like that?
Well, or the research idea, because one of your rivals might get in and pick up ideas that you're putting there.
Well, there's no, but it's open. But you can see, everyone can see that you are the first person to put that up there. There's no, everyone can see that. So actually, this is my idea is to actually exactly to circumvent that you can't be scooped.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've still got time for a couple more questions. At the back there?
Question about data for PaperHive or anyone else in regards to peer review. How many peer review criticisms or corrections are related to grammar? One, or how many are related to data? How many are related to? I'm just curious about those things, so we can know what peer review is actually serving. You know what I mean?
It depends on the community. So say for the linguistics guys, I mentioned this use case, it's obviously, this is their content, grammar, and this is actually what they're doing. So it's a massive amount. I can unfortunately not tell you a lot about this. Same mathematics, a completely different scientific field. A lot of questions show up, just understanding some specific calculation or formula. This is the predominant thing out there. And another defining factor in addition to the discipline, is if the usage is encouraged by somebody, say if a professor encourages his PhD students to use our system, I guess also others, this will result into one type of very high quality commentary, which is just biased in a way by nature by the professor, and another type would be by, say, the publisher encourages his readers and authors to get into, say, Q&A sessions about published research. But this is an interesting question.
What about the juicy stuff like plagiarism? Has that ever happened in PaperHive?
It's too early to say. I mean, we are live for 5 months right now, so we haven't had it until now, but it might turn out.
But it's very interesting.
Yeah.
So it's somewhat related. We have a system right now in place, which is a system of peer review. And we have a lot of ideas to improve it, and we're putting the pressure on scientists to start using these ideas. So there's a big burden of proof for these new ideas, but they're better than peer review. How does the panel think we can measure and say this actually removes bias, this actually removes plagiarism? We also need a system in place to compare these methods. So we have something.
That's a really good question, and you need data for these sorts of things, and publishers are actually gathering a lot of sort of trial data on this right now. So Nature Commons, they trialed open peer review recently for a year, and Elsevier trialed it recently as well, and they found that it worked out pretty well. It increased quality, reduced bias, these sorts of things. So there's preliminary data on a lot of these things right now, but that doesn't mean that we should implement these things across the board yet. Be careful of that.
I'd say whatever comes, new system, can't be worse than it is. What are we doing now? It takes, in some fields, it takes weeks to find a peer reviewer who is willing to peer review, because they couldn't be asked, forgive my language, because they're doing other things. They're doing peer review because they have to, because they feel guilty, they don't get paid for it, they don't get recognition, they're anonymous. And we've got these papers being retracted. It's a horrendous system we have now. Sorry.
I agree. I think Georg wants to comment.
I just have a question. So you mentioned the unit for the scientists is the paper, and then you mentioned all these up and down rules and stack exchange.
Yes.
So my question is not more the unit of scientists, the citation, and are these not in some ways could be considered as up and down? Is there a way of leverage that and to change it and not think about papers itself?
We do.
So like peer reviews, if they're published, they could get citation, they could get credit, right? That's what these answers are on Stack Exchange. So I mean there is a way of translating the language of Stack Exchange to the paper publishing.
My view is my business is typesetting. I get all my money from typesetting journal papers. I want to see the end of journals and the end of papers, right? Papers. The word paper, guys, that's something. It's 351 years old, and we still call it I almost said the F word. A flippin' paper. That is old-fashioned. We can write. I love narrative. I love beautiful typography. I go to typography conferences. Let's have that written, but we shouldn't wait for that. That paper should not be the way we disseminate knowledge.
It has to
come
be
a long way.
faster.
Yeah.
It has to be digital.
Well, the fast speed doesn't matter. Damn, that's just vanity. It's plenty of time.
No, hang on. If you've got
the cost matters a lot.
Okay. With a question.
The cost has to come down. I want to get the cost to zero, as near as possible to zero. Yeah. Let's see where that money is going.
You want to put yourself out of business?
I've said that before many times, as you know. Sure, absolutely. Sometimes I think if I were a dentist sitting up here and someone said, look, I've got a pill that cures, basically there's no tooth decay. Now, should I be happy or sad about that? If I'm a good dentist, I should be happy. I say, yeah, I'm going out of business, guys. But if I'm a bad guy, I say, no, damn, I'm not going to get any sickos coming in to fill their teeth. So I'm a dentist who wants to go out of business. Yeah.
Thank you for your brutal honesty. See a question from the back.
So do you think that these platforms will be an opportunity for people to share some of their negative data that they've been producing?
I didn't have time to put that. Yeah. Sorry, I'll take that.
What's negative data?
So
it doesn't exist.
Negative results, you mean?
Negative results.
Doesn't exist.
There's right and wrong.
Negative is subjective.
Negative
But
result.
you should always publish.
I did this, I tried this, it didn't work, here's the proof it doesn't work. So someone else doesn't try it again. Right now, you can't publish because the famous journals don't want to say, oh, I tried this, didn't work. No. So that goes, isn't that right, David?
Well, the good specialist ones will do.
Yeah, but in general, people don't want to say, hey guys, this didn't work.
Paper in General Physiology, which is the best specialist quantitative electrophysiology journal in the world.
Really?
And they said, yes, it is very interesting to know that.
Okay, we're going to take a final question from the chap here in the front.
Thank you. So Caroline has said, it's 21st century science with 17th century publishing, and this medium of paper has come up. I think we need to be more bold and pick up concepts like computationally active knowledge and define that and make that the basis. I think John's hitting it. It's data, it's network data. We need to solve the network data science problem. Just a little plug, I think the science blockchain or blockchain technology will knit together every silo solution I've heard and make it universal.
Can I
add, so something that ties in a bit with that and with the previous comment is things like the Centre for Open Science and the OSF framework. So there you're encouraged to register what you're doing up front, and then you keep all your work there. So if at the end of that project you've got negative results, well, it's all already been captured. So, you probably don't necessarily want to put much more effort into publishing it because you want to move on to something else, but at least it's all there, and you can then make that available for others. So I think that's quite a powerful thing. And then finally, just to come back to the point about how do we get researchers to use things, I think if we solve problems for researchers, they will use the tools. I think quite often we talk about how can we make people use this, and I think as soon as we're saying that, that's probably not going to work. So I think it's solving the problems for them, and then they will come.
Okay, I think we have the lightning presentation next. Can I ask you all to put your hands together for our panelists here? Thank you all for questions. The next sessions are in the main auditorium. So, see you there.